Does the idea of being short of breath make you extremely anxious and nervous? Do you automatically think that shortness of breath always means that something is going wrong in your body and your overall health may be compromised in some way? If you've ever felt that level of anxiety or nervousness, I'm here to hopefully dispel some myths and give you some advice moving forward on how to use shortness of breath to move better. If you don't know me, my name is Joel. We believe that moving more and moving better can only lead to a better life and a healthier life. In this video, we're going to talk about two circumstances surrounding shortness of breath. Circumstance number one is when you should be concerned when you have shortness of breath. Circumstance number two is when we actually believe not only not having concern, but actually embracing shortness of breath can help you in your journey to moving better and living a happier life. A lot of people when they get older have difficulty with their mobility. Our whole channel is based on using movement to improve your life. But sometimes when people are moving, they get short of breath. When you get older, there may be various reasons for shortness of breath. Some may be medical, such as COPD, emphysema, things like that. Some may have been more traumatic, where you may have had a cancer removed from the lung or things like that, that reduces your respiratory system's ability to work to its optimum level. There are various medical reasons for people to have shortness of breath. One other way that people are short of breath when they're moving is basically because their muscles are not working efficiently. So let's talk a little bit very quickly about how our body's movement systems use air from our breathing to generate power and generate the energy they need to do their work. So human skeletal muscle is the muscles that we have that move our body. There's over 600 in our body. Their fuel comes from a process that uses the oxygen that you breathe in your air. When you bring in that air, it delivers part of the fuel system to that muscle to do what you're asking it to do. So if you're climbing up a hill, you're walking up and down stairs, whatever it may be, and you get short of breath, it's because your muscles are asking your system to give them more air. When your muscles are asking for more air, they're constantly using it to the level that they can to work on what they're working on at that particular moment. If you're doing something that is above your normal level of activity, the muscles will require more fuel to perform that activity. So if most of your life is walking straight ahead, walking slowly, not doing stairs a lot, sitting quite a bit, your muscles actually work much, much less efficiently in using the air that you're getting from your system. So let's divert here and we'll talk about shortness of breath that is bad and shortness of breath that is good. The baseline rule that I like to teach is that shortness of breath is possibly a concern. Number one, if it persists. If you have shortness of breath that persists when you are resting, it may be a concern that something is going on in your body that may need attention. The second way that shortness of breath can be concerning is if it comes along with other types of symptoms. So you end up having a cluster of symptoms that together are often the body's response and the body's way of telling you that you probably need some attention or you may need some attention. So quick list of that. If you get short of breath and that shortness of breath does not go away with rest, and you also have something like sweating or dizziness or nausea or pain or more profound weakness if any of those symptoms kind of come along together with your shortness of breath and they stick with you, I would probably encourage you to think about contacting your doctor or 911 if you feel that those situations are severe. So that's the type of shortness of breath that I encourage my patients to pay attention to, and they generally will signal a red flag. But the complete opposite is that shortness of breath can be extremely useful, and people don't understand that. Their fear of shortness of breath is always linked to their thought process that something bad has to be going on because I'm short of breath. So let's talk about shortness of breath that we find very useful. Shortness of breath that goes away after you sit down for a few minutes and is not accompanied by any of those other symptoms like nausea, dizziness, blurred vision, increased heart rate, sweating, those types of things. That type of shortness of breath that comes along alone and goes away as you rest is actually a very good type of shortness of breath, and we want to use that to help us move better. So if we go back to what I said earlier about the fact that sometimes as we get older and our activity level decreases, our muscles don't use our oxygen very efficiently. If our muscles are not using the oxygen very efficiently, they are extremely limited because our respiratory system can't deliver enough oxygen to the muscles, and that's where shortness of breath comes in. It's an increase in your breathing, and you feel like you're just not getting enough of what your body needs. So what we need to do is we need to condition our muscles to be able to use that air more efficiently. So I always talk about the difference between a huge 8-cylinder vehicle like a Hummer or a tank or something like that, and a small 4-cylinder vehicle that might get 60 miles to a gallon. If you compare the small vehicle, it uses the oxygen much more efficiently. The gasoline, I should say. The small vehicle uses the gasoline much more efficiently, and it gets more out of a gallon of gas than a large tank or a large Hummer or a large 8-cylinder vehicle does with the same amount of gasoline. Bodies can be the same. So normally younger people, their muscular system is always on duty. It's always working, it's always practicing, it's always efficiently using the oxygen that is available to it. So shortness of breath only comes with a great deal of exertion because the muscles are using the oxygen efficiently, just like that small 4-cylinder vehicle. So you get more from the same amount of air in your breathing. Unfortunately, when we get older, most people's lives in terms of their activity level diminishes quite a bit. As you know, in watching our videos, we're trying to reverse that. We're trying to make people realize that the more they move, the healthier they're going to be and the happier they're going to be. So if you get older and your movement patterns drastically decline, your muscles just simply are not practicing the way they did when you were younger, and they're not prepared to be as efficient to use the oxygen that you're providing. So if you get older and all of a sudden you have to go out and walk up a hill or walk upstairs, you may get short of breath because your muscles don't normally do that activity and they're just not ready for it, and they need more air to accomplish the task. So, shortness of breath during exercise that goes away after you rest for several minutes is actually what we want to see you experience. If you get up on a regular basis during your day and you go do something active like going up and down the stairs or going for a walk or getting up and down from a chair, whatever it might be that is physical activity, if that physical activity brings along shortness of breath, Don't be afraid of it if it comes along by itself and it's not met with those other types of symptoms. If the shortness of breath is alone by itself, you can use that to work your muscles to become more efficient, and your life will start to improve as you do that on a regular basis. You will move better, you will move easier, you will actually become less short of breath with the same amount of activity, because your muscles are learning how to efficiently use that oxygen. So I always encourage, on a really basic level, a generic level, I encourage people to move to the point where they're short of breath but can still have a conversation. When you get short of breath, you want to stay at that pace while you can still have a conversation. And at that level, your muscles are actually working to improve the way that they use oxygen, and that will help you in the long run. So the bottom line is, number one, don't be afraid of shortness of breath. If it is alone, you can use that shortness of breath with activity to improve your body's capacity and efficiency to move better. Take advantage of the shortness of breath. When your body tells you to take a rest, take a rest. But after you're resting and it goes away, please know that you've done something good and something positive to improve your muscular system and your body's ability to move. And if you do that consistently, your body will respond much in the same way that somebody who's training for a marathon develops their ability. So a marathon trainer does not roll out of bed on day one and run 26 miles. They might start with a mile, then build to 2, to 3, to 5, to 7, to 10, to 13, and so on. Along that path, their muscles are relearning to use oxygen much more efficiently. In the same way that we're encouraging you to be more active to the point of that shortness of breath that you can still have a conversation through, and do that regularly every day, maybe a couple times per day. And what you'll see is you'll see your ability to tolerate that for a longer period of time. You'll be able to walk further. You'll get up and down the stairs easier. You'll get out of a chair easier. You'll go out and enjoy, time with your family and friends much easier, and your shortness of breath will actually be less. Now, there are circumstances, like we touched on earlier, where there are medical issues that really limit your body's capability. I've seen a lot of people with respiratory issues that are very, very severe, and their body does not deal well with your muscles requiring more oxygen. So you want to always make sure that you're discussing this with your healthcare provider, because I only know you through a video screen. I don't know all the details of your life. These are very general recommendations that work for the high majority of people. But if you're concerned that this may be an issue for your body and your body's abilities, please discuss it with your healthcare worker. It doesn't mean that you can't benefit from the suggestions that I'm putting forward here in the video. It just means that you have to make sure that you get all the details for your own personal concerns and your own personal circumstances. So I appreciate you making it through the video. I really sincerely hope that it was very beneficial to you and that you got something out of it. Please comment down below in the next couple weeks as you try this process consistently moving forward, and let me know what happens. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know that I made a little bit of a difference with this video. Please like and subscribe to this channel for more content that comes out. Our whole goal is to help people just like you who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s to move better, because we know that you will be happier and healthier when you do so. So again, thank you. I really appreciate the time that you've given, and I hope to see you on the next video.